A lot of people hear militia and they kind of freak out and think it's weirdos running around in the woods. That's not the case, not with us. We are an official state militia organization under the control of the Guard and the Governor. The Artillery Company of Newport was founded in 1741. It is the oldest continuously serving military organization operating under its original charter. In the turn of the last century, they started to assemble the National Guard, and all the militia units were asked to join. This unit voted not to join the National Guard because we would have lost our ability to elect our own officers. That was actually one of the things in our charter that made us different than most other militia organizations in the United States. Most charters at that time said that the governor would appoint the officers, and our charter was the first that gave the members the ability to appoint the officers. So kind of a check and balance to make sure that the governor didn't have too much power. I'm Rob Beebe, Colonel Commanding of the Artillery Company of Newport. Colonel Commanding runs the operation, makes some of the decisions with the help of his staff. I joined in junior high school in 1994 because my stepbrother was a member, and they were doing a lot of Civil War reenacting at the time, and that was an awful lot of fun. My favorite part about working here is the history, and I really love the museum. I think that the museum is kind of an underappreciated part of Newport, so we're trying really hard to get more people through. The original mission was obviously to defend Newport and the state of Rhode Island, and that's still technically in the charter, but we're here to really preserve military history, not only of the United States and Rhode Island, but in the museum we have artifacts from around the world. Because we are technically under the National Guard, we get to have some equipment that other people wouldn't be able to have, and move the cannons on a trailer. When we leave the state, we do file official paperwork called marching orders, just to let the state know that the cannons are crossing state lines. You know, I used to be a federally licensed collector, so firearms and artillery are kind of my thing more than the uniforms, but we've got interesting pistol from World War I that tied a lineage to the Harlem Hellfighters, who were the most decorated American unit in World War I, and they happen to be an African-American unit. So I think that's really awesome. The non-weapon would probably be our original Appeal to Heaven flag. The pine tree kind of represented the fact that the protest that the British were taking our trees. The tree became a symbol of kind of rebellion. The flag was actually chosen by Washington when he got to Boston to put on ships that were loyal to the rebellion, so he could tell that they were friendlies. There was no American flag at the time, and he chose the Appeal to Heaven, basically making it the first flag of the U.S. Navy. So I think that's kind of a nice piece. The work starts usually a week or two before. Sometimes we do get a little ahead when making some extra rounds, but someone's got to come in and make up the rounds for the cannon, whatever that may be for the specific cannon. The older cannons are muzzle loaders, so it's just basically an aluminum foil package full of gunpowder. The pack howitzers are more modern, and they use a shell, so it's a little bit more involved process to load those. But my operations officer, with some help from volunteers, will come down and get those made up. They'll be ready to go usually the night before, maybe 2 nights before. After work, we'll all come down and load the cannons. So we're ready to roll and meet at the event, usually about an hour, 2 hours before the event starts. And then we get everything unloaded and set up safety zones. We're not firing cannonballs, but you're still, you know, it's still a dangerous proposition, and we have to make sure there's a clear area in front of the cannons. Active members that show up to events, we have about 30 or so. It tends to be the same handful of people that do most of the events, but on a bigger event like a St. Patrick's Day Parade in Newport, we get guys from all over New England that come down, and it's usually a good turnout for events like that. We have gone to Washington, D.C. to commission the aircraft carrier Washington, and that was interesting because there's actually some pictures around. The guys flew down in a C-130 with the Revere cannon made by Paul Revere, and that was pretty neat. When we did Civil War reenacting, we go down to Gettysburg, up to Vermont. It really depends. We do get calls to go to some of like the Events like the opening of the Revolutionary War Museum, you know, things like national events, they'll ask us to come down. But generally, I mean, we usually run in Rhode Island. First big event usually is the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Newport. We do the Gassaway Day Parade. We don't march, and that's in Warwick. We bring 3 cannons, 3 Revere guns up, and we're on a bridge at the end of the parade route. And any color guard, military or police, fire, color guard that goes by, we fire salute with one of the Reveres for the flag when the flag goes by. Westerly Pops is another huge one. They do an 1812 overture for the finale of the concert, and that has the 2 75mm pack howitzers and 1 Revere firing along with the 1812 overture while there's fireworks and all the churches are ringing their bells. So it's a really legit representation of the full version of the 1812 overture. It's so much fun. The Revere gun is there for looks, and the guys are in their, you know, regimentals, and that gun, he'll fire a couple times, but they just can't keep up with the music. I believe the composer said that there should be 26 cannons, muzzle loaders available to fire the 16 shots, just so they could do it fast enough and make sure if they had a misfire, they wouldn't miss. We use the 75mm pack howitzers, which, as I said, they use a shell. So as fast as you can put a shell in and close the breech, the other gentleman pulls the ripcord and it fires, and it's pretty awe-inspiring when those 2 guns start banging out the song. You think, wow, in World War II, you know, they were firing that fast, but they were laying steel on target. Really makes you think.